Hello everybody, my name is Terra Watcher. My job is to watch the Terra ecosystem and report about it. So in this video, I want to answer an important question. Can Terra be copied? Is there a threat that somebody will copy Terra? No, there isn't. Terra can't be copied, and I'll explain why. Alright, so first of all, I want to say, if you spend a lot of time in the crypto space, you're going to start feeling a lot of deja vu. The crypto space is the frontier of finance. Every year, a new caravan of new people come to the space. And they're green, they're inexperienced, they're naive, they always have questions, they always have doubts, and they always fall for the same meme coins and pump and dumps, and they either get wiped out or they get experienced. And then another wave of newcomers come. And then another wave and another wave. So a lot of the same questions get repeated. A lot of the same attitudes show up over and over again. A lot of the same people just keep arising. A lot of the same debates and discussions keep getting repeated. So for somebody who hangs around the crypto space for a long time, they tend to get a lot of deja vu. And right now, I've got a lot of deja vu about Bitcoin back in 2013 and 2014. When I think about where Terra is now, Terra reminds me a lot about Bitcoin in 2013, 2014. The discourse around it is very similar. Both of them, Bitcoin is trying to be money, Terra is trying to be money. Back in 2013, 2014, Bitcoin had pretty much established itself. People no longer thought it was going to disappear and turn into nothing. But at that point, they thought, well, it's MySpace. It's Yahoo. It's going to be replaced. And people are starting to think the same thing about Terra, I think. They're starting to realize that Terra's actually onto something, and it's not going to disappear. But people are starting to say, well, even if it doesn't disappear, it'll be replaced. It'll be supplanted or disrupted. Is that going to happen? Well, did it happen with Bitcoin? There's your answer. So, first of all, before I explain why Terra is not going to be replaced, let me just cover a couple of things. Just give a few little definitions. So, first of all, Bitcoin is actually decentralized. Few things in this world, and even in the crypto space, are actually decentralized. Real, meaningful, functional, lasting decentralization is a miracle. Very, very few things have achieved it, and Bitcoin is one of those things. Bitcoin is super interesting, super valuable, and it's going to be here in 1,000 years, because if something is actually decentralized in a real, meaningful, functional, lasting way, it'll be really strong and really valuable. And I think Terra's going to have the same fate as Bitcoin, I think. One other thing, a couple other things. Money is a winner-take-most game, where the first mover has a huge advantage. So a lot of people think money has something to do with technology, something to do with utility, and it does to a degree, but most importantly, money is a social phenomenon. If people agree something has extrinsic value, or it's worth something because it's worth something, if people agree that about, say, rocks or sticks or shells or shiny metals or Dogecoin, then that's a social phenomenon, and it's all about confidence. And because that's the case, it's better for there to be one kind of money than many kinds of money, because the more people use one kind of money, the stronger it is, right? The more people use a certain currency, the stronger it gets. The more people use a certain store of value, the stronger it gets. So money is a winner-take-most game. Because it's all about confidence, the first mover has a huge advantage. Once something gets started, there's a huge cost to jumping to a smaller kind of money, because the big established kind of money is always going to be stronger, because it's a social phenomenon about confidence. And money has two parts: store of value and medium of exchange. It's important to keep that in mind. And something interesting is the very properties that give something strength as a store of value make it a weak medium of exchange, and vice versa. Kind of like gold. The very properties that make gold a good store of value make it a bad medium of exchange. And those are the two halves of money. If you're going to be using money, you want to be able to store value, but also use money to exchange things. So you tend to need two separate things to make the whole of money. And I think The whole of decentralized money in the future is going to be Bitcoin and Terra. All right, so what's the state of Terra right now? Well, at this point, with the Bitcoin reserve and the AVAX and everything, a lot of people are starting to think, well, maybe it's here to stay. It's not going to blow up. There's not going to be a death spiral, but it could be copied. Maybe every L1 is going to have its own algorithmic stablecoin. What about Near? Near is going to make its own algo stable. Is that a threat to Terra? No. At this point, in its category, Terra dominates. It has a huge market share. Just a reminder for those who don't know, Terra is not competing with USDC or USDT. Those are fiat-backed, centralized stablecoins. In its own category, decentralized stablecoins, Terra has, what, 98, 99% market share? Terra is huge. It's massive. And the thing is, money is not like a Silicon Valley company like Apple or Facebook or just any company. It is not disrupted in the same way because it's really difficult. People couldn't disrupt Bitcoin. So Terra's huge. It's got a huge market share in the decentralized medium of exchange category. Bitcoin. Lots of people thought it would fail. Once they realized it wasn't going to fail by itself, they thought around 2013, 2014, well, maybe it'll fail because it will be disrupted. It'll be replaced. And that didn't happen. After more than a decade of trying, of attempts, Bitcoin has more than 95% market share in its category, in the store of value category. You can look on CoinGecko and it'll say Bitcoin dominance is 30 or 40%, but that's out of all the cryptos. Bitcoin isn't trying to be all the cryptos. It's trying to be a store of value. And as a store of value in that category, it's got a huge monopoly. The second biggest store of value, decentralized cryptographic store of value, is Litecoin. And there's Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Monero, I don't know, with Dash, all these little obscure ones. Bitcoin dominates in that category because it's money, and because with money, it's better to have one big kind of money than a whole bunch of smaller kinds of money, right? Because it's a social phenomenon, because it's about confidence. Now, all right. Now, what if you wanted to copy Terra or Bitcoin? Okay, so people have been trying to copy Bitcoin. It hasn't really been successful. People are going to try and copy Terra, I suppose. Now, if you want to actually make a real competitive attempt at copying Terra or Bitcoin, the copy needs to be at least as good and probably much better. So ETH is not going to it is not a feasible copy of Bitcoin. In 2017, a lot of people thought ETH would flip Bitcoin. They thought ETH would have utility and also be a store of value with extrinsic value, like a social consensus of value for the sake of value. It didn't really happen because, well, lots of reasons, but Bitcoin is designed to be a store of value. That's all it wants to be. Ethereum is not designed to be a store of value. It's designed to be a smart contract platform. So unless you get a project that wants to focus all of its energy on being a store of value, it's not going to be a viable competitor to Bitcoin. And the same thing with Terra. Like Vader, for instance, Vader is a small algo stablecoin on Ethereum, or they're going to have this new algo stablecoin in the Near ecosystem, USN, I believe. These things are going to be, they're not going to be the main focus of the respective ecosystems, where just like UST is the focus of the Terra ecosystem. UST and the other stables are interwoven into the blockchain, the Terra blockchain. They're native assets. They're not tokens. So Terra is 100% focused on stablecoins. So if you want to compete with Terra or Bitcoin, you're going to need something that focuses 100% on being either a store of value or a medium of exchange. Like a half-hearted attempt is not going to be a viable competitor. So that's one thing to point out. Another thing, so let's say you just copy-paste Terra, copy-paste Bitcoin. You can do that. It's easy. It's open source. The technology is not hard. This open source technology with distributed nodes and validators and mining setups and all that stuff. You can do that. You can get that starting. But two things. You're going to need two things after you copy and paste. You're going to need confidence and good coin distribution. And those things, this is where it gets difficult. So confidence. That's brand, integrations, economy, culture, size. Bitcoin has that in spades. Terra has that in spades. Terra, in recent months, has been making all kinds of plays to increase its integration, and make its economy bigger, to grow in size, to have more depth and liquidity. Terra has a strong brand. They're doing advertising with the Washington Nationals to increase their brand power, all that stuff. So you need confidence, and that is a hard hurdle to clear. Maybe it's possible. Maybe it's possible. If you copy and paste the Terra, copy and paste the Bitcoin, I don't know, somehow, maybe if the project was endorsed by a bunch of influential people, it's conceivable that somehow something could outcompete Terra or Bitcoin in terms of confidence. But would it be truly decentralized? Because the second thing is coin distribution, and a lot of people don't talk about it, but this is really the secret recipe when it comes to Bitcoin and with Terra. Let me talk about coin distribution. So coin distribution is vital. Why? Because the character of a network is the aggregate of its participants' characters. In other words, say Germany is the way it is because Germans are the way they are. The whole nation is the aggregate of the personalities of all the citizens. China is the way China is because Chinese are the way they are. America is the way America is because Americans are the way they are. The same goes for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is decentralized because the people who own Bitcoin care about decentralization. People who own Bitcoin are a certain kind of people. I guess maybe I'm complimenting myself or something, but Bitcoin people are smart, diverse, geographically distributed, and they were fairly chosen. And to have an actual, a legitimate decentralized network, you need those kind of people to be your constituents, to be your holders. So how do you fairly distribute a coin into the right hands? It's super, super, super challenging. How do you actually do that? How do you make sure that people all around the world get it, but only people who are smart and care about decentralization and things like that? And how do you do it fairly? And how do you do it in a decentralized way? You can't have an organization spring up and, interview people and give, I don't know, but the only way to do it that I can conceive of is an unknown outcome filter. And what is that? That's simply this chart right here. This is the Bitcoin unknown outcome filter. How did the supply of Bitcoin get into the right hands? How did it get into the right hands? Through this process. Nobody knew where it was going. It started off being worth nothing. People were throwing it around for free. There were faucets. People were losing it. And then it went up and down and up and down. And there was so much discourse and debate. And basically, this filtered out all the bad people. This was like a Darwinian experience. This chart right here was an incredibly hostile environment, and it basically killed off all the weak hands. All the weak hands got shook out, and only the smart ones, only the true intellects, the visionaries, the dreamers, the people who didn't really even care about getting rich, they held on. And those people are the people that give Bitcoin its character. Bitcoin cares about decentralization because its constituents care about decentralization. It's the same thing with Terra. This is the Terra unknown outcome filter. Nobody knew what was going to happen. It was radical, it was untried, it was experimental, and you really had to think about it because Terra was not following in the tracks of anybody else like Bitcoin. Bitcoin and Terra both blazed their own trails. And you had to hold during this period. It went up, it went down, people got shook out, and this filtered out all the wrong people so that only the right people now own Luna, and they now vote to control the Terra ecosystem. So Who invests in daring new projects that aim to radically decentralize money in an original way? Visionaries, high IQ people, libertarians, people who don't care about getting rich. Those are the people that you want. Who invests in copycat projects? I'm not even going to say. It's obvious. People who want to make money. Freeloaders, leeches, parasites. Basically, I sound like Ayn Rand here, but that's who invests in copycat projects. If you were to copy-paste Bitcoin, if you were to copy-paste Terra, if you were to somehow garner enough confidence, then how would you properly distribute your coin? How would you distribute the copy of Bitcoin? How would you distribute the copy of Luna? How would you do it? So many people would jump on board expecting to get rich because you wouldn't be blazing your own trail. You'd be following in the footsteps of Satoshi and Do Kwon. So that's why I don't think Terra is going to be replaced. And this is what I think. On a historical level, this is historical. Bitcoin and Terra are the two halves of decentralized money. They're going to change the world, and they're going to last for thousands of years. In 1,000 years, if you want to store value in a proper, guaranteed, reliable, decentralized way, because in 1,000 years you're going to be a sovereign individual, what are you going to use to store your value? Bitcoin. In 1,000 years, what are you going to use to transact with other sovereign individuals? Well, you could use Bitcoin, but ultimately I think its value is always going to fluctuate. It's always going to be volatile. So if you want to have an actual business in 1,000 years and do your taxes and everything, you're going to use Terra. You're going to use some kind of stablecoin. So Terra is not going to be replaced. I am confident in that. Money is a winner-take-most game where the first mover has a huge advantage. Bitcoin got out of the gates first, and Bitcoin won. Bitcoin won the decentralized store of value race. It's got 95% market share. Nobody's disrupting Bitcoin. And Terra is well on its way to winning the decentralized medium of exchange race. It already has a massive market share. Nobody is going to meaningfully take any of that market share because Terra has loads of confidence. It's got a confidence mode, but it also has proper coin distribution. When Terra started, nobody knew it was going to be an L1. They thought it was just going to be a stable coin, but it bloomed. It evolved into an L1. The Bitcoin reserve. It was invented. That wasn't part of the original plans. The outcome was unknown. So Terra, the volatility of the price of Luna has selected for the right people to own the coin, and now it'll be governed by the right people who care about decentralization, not about profits. Not primarily about profits, but about decentralization, because that's what it's all about. All right, so that was my video. This is the end. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please comment, subscribe, like, do all those things. Follow me on Twitter. I'm still beginning on my journey here as a content creator or whatever. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.